In this lesson, we are going to be looking at how we understand volume. Now, volume is related to the space that something contains, a 3D object uses. So the three different ways of looking at volume, and then we'll look at a couple of key ideas, and then just a couple of examples that you don't have to record down. But understanding volume. So first off, volume is the amount of space a 3D object uses. You might want to think of things like water bottles. So how much water fits into a water bottle, or how much stuff fits into a box. So the more space some 3D object takes up, the more volume it has. Another important key idea here, it has to do with the units. So it's always measured in cubic units. So things that volume could look like would be, for example, like meters cubed. So that little 3 there means that you're dealing with volume, or centimeters cubed, or any type of cubic units like decimeters cubed. Those are volumes, whereas squared is surface area or area. So volume is measured in cubic units. Finally, having to do with an actual formula regarding with respect to volume. Volume is equal to the following. It's equal to the area of the base of whatever it is that you're calculating the volume of, times the height of the prism. And in this chapter we're going to be looking at three particular prisms: a triangular prism, a rectangular prism, and a cylinder. So that's equal to the area of the base times the height of the prism. A few important notes here as we're dealing with the area of the base. The area of the base, or in other words, the base of a triangular prism, is always a triangle. So even if a triangular prism is tilted on its side so that the triangles are at the ends, the triangle is still considered the base. The base of a rectangular prism is always a rectangle. And finally, the base of a cylinder is always a circle, even if it's tilted. So that's it for these notes, but I would like you to actually just watch a few examples having to do with volume. So we're going to calculate a few things here. So these few examples basically says, do not write what's in the purple box, but what's the volume of each shape. So this first shape here, remember, and I'll circle this in red here, remember that volume is always the area of the base times the height of the prism. So the area of this base, the triangle, is 17. So the volume of this here is 17 centimeters squared times the height, and the height here is 10 centimeters. So that would have a volume of 170 centimeters cubed. If we look at the next one, which I'll do in blue, what you'll notice here is I've actually copied two of the identical shapes. And the important thing here is that you realize the area of the base for a cylinder is always the circle. It's not necessarily on the bottom, but it's always a circle. So the area of that base, whether it's tilted or not, is 54 centimeters squared. And then times, so the volume is the area of the base times the height of the prism. And the height of this prism is 4, whether it's tilted or not. So the height of the prism is always the distance between the bases. So even when it's tilted sideways, the height is considered 4 centimeters. So you have to be careful about that. So the volume of this would be 216 centimeters cubed. And finally, this last example has some extra additional information that's not even necessary. This base here, it's a rectangular prism, so the base is always a rectangle. The area of that base is actually recorded here. Or in other words, it's 3 times 5. So the area of the base is 15 centimeters squared, and the height of the prism is 8 centimeters. So you don't really need the information about the 3 and the 5 centimeters, although they do correlate to a correct answer. So 15 centimeters squared for the base, 8 centimeters for the height. That gives you a total of 120 centimeters cubed.